Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency President Benigno S. Aquino III. Please remain standing for the prayer in the form of pangalay by the Alun-Alun Dance Circle. Please be seated. Greetings of peace to everyone, and welcome to the launch of Junctures, a collection of selected speeches and statements on the GPH-MILF peace process from 2012 to 2016. The importance of this book cannot be overstated enough. It is not a collection of mere and random text. More than anything, Junctures chronicles the commitment and dedication of the key actors of the Bangsamoro peace process throughout its most important and critical years. Significantly, it serves as a special tribute to our peace champion and chief peace architect, President Benigno S. Aquino III. And to mark such an occasion of having this piece of literature added to our archives, we have all gathered here today, we who have held each other's hands along this difficult but noble journey. To formally welcome us all, may I call on the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, Secretary Teresita Quintos Deles.
His Excellency, President Benigno Simeon Aquino III, the Honorable Mohagere Iqbal, Chair of the MILF Negotiating Panel, and Honorable Miriam Coronel Ferrer, Chair of the GPH Negotiating Panel, Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow cabinet members and elected members of the 17th Congress of the Philippines, dear and faithful friends of the Bangsamoro peace process, fellow travelers in the long winding road to peace, A peaceful afternoon to everyone. Assalamu alaikum. We are gathered here bound by the dream of a nation without war, without poverty, without fear, without injustice. This is a dream we all share with Haji Usman Ahmad, fondly known as Bapa, who is among the oldest of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front combatants who were decommissioned last year. Bapa is now almost 80 years old. A battle-hardened warrior from Maguindanao, he has spent more than half of his life in war. But today, his battle-weary hands freely run over the myriad colors of threads and fabrics to make clothes, a trade he learned in our livelihood programs for decommissioned combatants. Happily, he now helps his daughter in her small tailoring shop. Bapa stands with us as we continue to knit and sew together a peaceful and prosperous future for Filipino families and communities all over the country. He says, gusto rin namin ng kapayapaan. Gusto rin ng mga sundalo ang kapayapaan. Kaya sana tuloy-tuloy na ito. This yearning for peace is captured in the book that we are launching here today entitled Junctures. This book is dedicated to the Filipino people in the love for peace, to the Moro Islamic Liberation Front for the great courage in holding back arms to give way for peace, to Malaysia for being our host and counselor in the true spirit of solidarity, to the world for its abiding faith in our efforts, and to Pinoy for his indomitable leadership in the face of great odds. Through this book, we say thank you. We thank the various mechanisms and components of the peace process that helped us weather its toughest challenges and reach its greatest achievements. The international community for its invaluable support for the Aquino administration's peace agenda in Mindanao, and civil society organizations, religious groups, the academe, the business sector, and all our partners in peace. Mr. President, you are the star of this book. We thank you for showing Bapa, the Bangsamoro, the country, and the rest of the world that with the principled commitment of a genuine leader and public servant, peace is possible within our lifetime. We will never forget how you shepherded the peace process, even in the face of the most daunting challenges. Your Excellency, maraming salamat po. Today, we take stock of the breadth of what we have achieved in the peace process. We have truly gone so far in that brave journey. 4 years ago, on October 15, 2012, we made history in this very hall when the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and the government of the Philippines finally signed the framework agreement for on the Bangsamoro. 2 years after, on March 27, 2014, within these same grounds, the whole world watched as we achieved another milestone in the peace process, the culmination of 17 years of negotiations with the signing of the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro. 6 months later, on September 10, 2014, these very walls were witness to the transmittal by the President himself to Congress of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. The submission of the BBL was already an achievement in itself, especially as it jump-started the implementation of various aspects of the CAB, such as the ceremonial turnover and decommissioning of MILF arms and combatants in June last year. Through the decommissioning process, like the broader normalization process and the comprehensive agreement of which it is part, we work to ensure that our Bangsamoro sisters and brothers get to experience how it is to live a life free from fear of guns and bullets, of life in safe, prosperous communities, of life in a country that embraces all its children, whether Muslim, Christian, or Lumad. The vision is slowly but surely turning into reality today, which is why, despite the difficulties we faced, we have forged ahead in the path to peace. This is why we buckled down and kept working for the passage of the BBL. We took heart in knowing that we were not alone in this path. The journey and the struggle continues. And while much work remains to be done, we are not leaving the fight for peace. Tuloy ang kapayapaan. The work for peace continues because we know how important it is, especially for the scared child taking cover from a rain of bullets, for parents forced to send away their children to take refuge from firefight, for communities torn apart by war. It continues because Bapa's story tells us that despite the setbacks, we can see the fruits of peace even as early as now. That despite the difficulties, we can look back and say it has all been worth it, that we stood on the right side of history, that our faith in peace and dialogue was not misplaced. We fought the good fight, and we will continue to do so, even as we are set to step down from office in a few weeks. I hope and pray that the next administration will carry the torch forward for the greater good of our people and the world. I hope and pray that we will no longer let yet another generation of Filipinos wait until they are 80, worn and hardened and withered by war, before they reap the fruits of peace. That we will not take a step back into the darkness of violence and conflict, especially now when the light of peace is just within our reach. Peace cannot be forged in a matter of months or even 6 years. A peace agreement marks not the end but the beginning of work that must carry on over many years, perhaps even over decades. Any peace agreement must be upheld over and beyond administrations, which will make it not only intact but indelible. And so it is my hope that Junctures will serve to remind the Filipino people, especially those who still keep the faith and pin their hopes and dreams on this peace process, not only of what we have achieved over the past 6 years, but also of the greater and greater heights we can still reach if we stand together in harmony. Tuloy ang kapayapaan, and with Bapa, the Bangsamoro, and the rest of the Filipino people, let us keep the faith. Let us remain steadfast. Let us stay on this path and continue knitting and sewing together, hand in hand, a future filled with the bright and joyful colors of peace. Thank you and welcome. Shukran.
Thank you, Secretary Deles, for your welcome remarks. To read a message from the Chair of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, Al-Hajj Murad Ibrahim, let me call on MILF Peace Panel Chair, Mohager Iqbal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Before I read the message of Chairman Murad Ibrahim, I would like to convey the message of apology to everybody, especially His Excellency President Benigno Simeon Aquino III, for not being with us this afternoon. He had just arrived on June 7, and when I called him, he was on the way from Davao City to Cotabato City. So I conveyed to him this affair, the importance of this affair, and that the president, no less than the president, is attending this affair. So he said and told me to convey his apology that he cannot come because he has visited several countries, among which is Belgium, the Netherlands, and Turkey. And he has just been operated on both eyes because of a problem about cataract. So I repeat, he wanted me to convey the message of apology, especially to His Excellency, that he cannot come to this affair this afternoon. This is his words. and I now quote, His Excellency President Benigno Aquino III, Foreign Dignitaries, Presidential Peace Advisor Teresita Quintos Deles, esteemed members of the GPH Peace Panel, brothers in the MILF Peace Panel, heads and representatives of the different non-government organizations and partner donor organizations, members of the Bangsamoro Transition Commission, honored guests, friends, good afternoon, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am thankful for the opportunity to be delivering this message on the occasion of the book launch of the compilation of opening speeches in relation to the Bangsamoro peace process initiated and organized by the Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process in our common pursuit to educate and spread the word of peace in the context of the Bangsamoro. The significance of this effort is more so emphasized as we actively engage the Bangsamoro people, especially the youth, to know more and learn about the intensity, acrimony, and triumphs of the peace talks, which took 17 years in the making. Realistically, it is the next generation that will most benefit from this undertaking, which all the more makes it imperative that we internalize the history of the Bangsamoro struggle and the political objectives that we are fighting for. The messages written and speeches spoken in the various occasions of the Bangsamoro peace process reflected the gamut of human emotions as well as the social and political experiences prevailing at the time. The themes in all of these writings were drawn from the unique and remarkable experiences that best depicted in the situation at that moment and the status of the peace process. To illustrate, when President Benigno Aquino III spoke about the framework agreement on the Bangsamoro in October 2012, he said of his affirmation and acceptance of the Bangsamoro, and I quote, "This agreement creates a new political entity and it deserves a name that symbolizes and honors the struggles of our forebears in Mindanao and celebrates the history and character of that part of our nation. The name will be Bangsamoro." Imagine the mixed emotions that the peace panels, the MILF, and those who have been deeply involved in the struggle felt at that moment. We saw it as a triumphant quantum leap from history. The recognition of our Bangsamoro identity has been officially memorialized in a signed document, and it was a beginning of a new dawn for our people. This is the effect of words. Words indeed are the most powerful weapon. They can ignite a fire within the minds of those who hear them. They can move people to action. They can dictate the trajectory of events that follow. Words can fool or rule. At any rate, the hard work put into this project, comprising of speeches, words, and thoughts of various speakers, is worthy of commendation. This could be a powerful tool towards educating the readers and the observers of the Bangsamoro peace process. Education is the key. If people understand the context of this whole process, appreciate it, and work for it, then I would like to believe that we have partially won the battle. May this compilation serve its noble purposes of providing the readers a peek behind the minds of the main actors in the peace process, impart knowledge, and encourage support for the continuity and success of the Bangsamoro peace process. Thank you, and wassalamu alaikum, unquote.
Thank you, Chair Iqbal, for reading the message of MILF Chairman Murad. And now to unveil Junctures, a publication on the GPH-MILF peace process, may I call on President Benigno S. Aquino III and the Chair of the Government of the Philippines Peace Negotiating Panel, Professor Miriam Coronel Ferrer. To serve as witnesses to the unveiling are Secretary Teresita Quintos Deles and the Chair of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front Peace Panel, Mr. Mohaguer Iqbal. They will be joined by the panel members. On the side of the GPH, we have former Agriculture Secretary Senen Bacani. On the side of the MILF, we have Mr. Abdullah Kamlian and Timoy Melanio Ulama. Thank you very much, Mr. President. At this point, panel chairs Professor Ferrer and Mr. Iqbal will be handing over a copy of the book to President Aquino as a tribute for being the champion and chief architect of the Bangsamoro peace process. Thank you, panel chairs and members, Secretary Deles and His Excellency. To introduce our guest of honor and keynote speaker, may I once again call on Secretary Teresita Quintos Deles.
It is my honor and privilege to introduce our President, our leader for peace, His Excellency Benigno Simeon Aquino III, President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down. Your Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, Secretary Ging Deles, Professor Miriam Coronel Ferrer, Chair Mohaguer Iqbal, former Secretary Senen Bacani, former Secretary and now Senator Laila de Lima, GPH and MILF panel members, fellow workers in government, our international partners, local partners, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, mga minamahal ko pong kababayan, magandang hapon po sa inyo. Not too many years ago, negotiations between the Philippine government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front had reached an impasse. While both sides recognized the importance of peace, the conflict had gone on for 4 decades, and there was an understandable lack of faith between the two sides. It was in that context, and then, that I decided to fly to Tokyo to meet with the leaders of the MILF under Chairman Murad. And finally, we began to build the trust necessary for the peace process to move forward. Some quarters criticized this decision. They said that meeting with rebels was unprecedented and that there was no guarantee of success. For me, however, such concerns were eclipsed by the potential benefit for our nation, by the possibility that we may finally end the conflict that has brought too much suffering to far too many Filipinos. The results speak for themselves. By October of 2012, we witnessed the signing of a framework agreement on the Bangsamoro. By March of 2014, there was a comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro. And now we remain hopeful for the passage of the Bangsamoro Basic Law in the incoming Congress. There is a long way to go, and many of us who work so hard for peace are fearful, apprehensive, and unsure. It is true that the culmination of our efforts has been delayed. Today, however, I ask you to remember and take strength from the progress we have made. There is no denying that, thanks to our shared efforts, our countrymen in the autonomous region of Muslim Mindanao are enjoying the dividends of peace. We have been able to give those in arms a significant boost up to catch up. And we are seeking to build a structure that promotes true leadership and public service in the region, as opposed to the previous status quo, where strong men addressed only their own family's needs, and by chance, the needs only of their own tribe. Over the past 6 years, as we have worked for peace, the government has likewise worked to provide critical support to the ARMM. Look at infrastructure. From 2011 to 2016, the national and regional governments invested a total of 61.64 billion pesos in roads, bridges, flood control projects in the region, compared to just around 11 billion from 2005 to 2010. Among the projects we finished were the long-awaited Basilan Circumferential Road, which began construction in the year 2000, as well as the improvement of 8 ports and 2 airports to promote regional connectivity. We have undertaken major projects to empower the people. That is the 4Ps program, whose coverage in the region has skyrocketed from 37,564 households as of June 2010 to 442,924 under our administration. We improved education and healthcare. From 2011 to 2015, we have built 5,018 classrooms in the ARM. We have seen a marked improvement in the region's classroom-to-student ratio, which has gone from 1 classroom for 82 children in 2010, in the 2010 to 11 school year for high schools, to 1 in 33 in 2014-15 school year. We have validated the licenses of public school teachers in the region to make sure they are providing quality education. Through TESDA, we've also provided skills training programs to around 25,000 beneficiaries in the ARM. We have likewise addressed the shortage of medical professionals in the rural areas by deploying 109 doctors, 3,855 nurses, 300 midwives, 22 dentists, and 78 public health associates from 2011 to 2015. On top of this, we also expanded access to electricity, electrifying 846 target sitios from July 2011 to March 2016. We've talked to the communities to ask about their most pressing needs, and from 2013 to 2015 have funded a total of 1,133 poverty reduction projects in the ARM, totaling 2.6 billion pesos. These projects include the provision of livelihood opportunities, potable water supplies, medicine, and shelter assistance, among others. Let us not forget, having an honest and accountable regional government together with a relatively more peaceful and stable environment is one of the keys to unlocking the potential of any economy, both national and regional. This is why we require transparency in the disclosure of the funds and projects by the ARM regional line agencies. We likewise ensured competitiveness in the bidding process by requiring the use of the Philippine Government Electronic Procurement System, or PhilGEPS, website in publishing all bid notices. The results have been undeniable. BOI, ARM, approved investments in the region have increased from 87.9 million pesos in 2010 to 6.58 billion pesos in 2015 alone. In fact, from 2010 to 2015, total investments or total actual investments have already amounted to 14.3 billion pesos. There is no doubt confidence in the region is at an all-time high, and perhaps there is no greater indicator of this than the International Business Conference that was held in Tawi-Tawi in 2014, which was attended by more than 400 businessmen, not to mention the increase of tourists in Tawi-Tawi from a mere 200 to tens of thousands in 2014. These are only a few pieces of good news from the ARM, and there is a lot more to come if we continue along the road to a true and lasting peace. This is the right path. It is a path that has benefited those on the margins of society, and it is a path that heals the fractures within the country we share. And the message that we now send to our countrymen is, we must continue along this path. In 21 days, I will be stepping down from office, but to all of you in attendance today, and to each person of goodwill who wishes to fulfill the promise of Mindanao, I will remain your friend and ally. Tell me how I can help this process, even as an ordinary citizen, and I will be by your side. The book we launched today tells of the journey we have taken these past 6 years. We launch it fully aware that the journey is still ongoing, that there are more challenges we must overcome, and triumphs that await all of us. It instills in us the awareness that we are once more at a juncture where we must choose between reverting to the status quo of the past or continuing our progress far into the future. At the same time, I'm also hopeful that it will remind us of the successes we have enjoyed so far, that it may stand as an enduring symbol of our restored faith in one another, not as opponents in a negotiating table, but as fellow men who share a home. I truly believe that our combined efforts can bring about a Mindanao and a Philippines that is free from conflict, one that we can be proud to bequeath to future generations. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes our formal program. We will now be requesting for photo opportunities with the President. We have 5 batches of photo ops. Now I'd like to call on the first batch. Can we please have the first batch of photo ops? Sorry. Ayan na. Can we have the second batch ready, please? Thank you. I'd like to call on the second batch, please. Can we have the third batch ready, please? Thank you. We'll now have the third batch. Can we please have the fourth batch ready? Thank you. We'll now have the fourth batch. Can we have the fifth batch ready, please?
Thank you. And the last batch, please. Thank you. That ends our program for today. Thank you, Mr. President.
For our Muslim brothers and sisters, we have a prayer room right across the hall.